If you want a real measure of how fast your body is aging, don't rely on the number of candles on your birthday cake, and don't be misled by a standard cholesterol panel alone. The most telling indicator lies much deeper, in how efficiently your body clears cellular waste. This process, known in medical science as cellular housekeeping, plays a central role in determining your true biological age. Over the past decade, researchers from leading scientific institutions have uncovered a powerful truth, one that is reshaping how we understand aging. Your biological age is not fixed. It is dynamic, continuously influenced by small, everyday decisions. In fact, within just a few minutes a day, your choices can begin to either accelerate or slow down the aging process at the cellular level. I'm Dr. Susan Miller, and on the 365 Health Guide channel, I'm going to walk you through a highly targeted one-week protocol rooted in cellular biology. This is not theoretical. Patients and individuals who follow these principles consistently often report noticeable improvements, more energy, clearer thinking, even a sense of feeling younger, within just a matter of days, not months. There is a widespread misconception that aging is something passive, an inevitable decline that simply happens over time. Many believe it can only be slightly delayed with skincare products or basic supplements. However, after nearly 15 years in emergency medicine and extensive work in preventive health and aging science, I can tell you with confidence that belief is outdated. Aging is not a passive process. It is biologically active. At the cellular level, your body is constantly either repairing itself or accumulating damage. And in many cases, with the right interventions, aspects of this process can be slowed, halted, or even partially reversed. The science supporting this has existed in peer-reviewed medical literature for years. The difference now is that we are finally beginning to apply it in a practical, accessible way. What you're about to learn is not just theory, it's a clinically grounded approach to helping your body function the way it was designed to, efficiently, resiliently, and with a far greater capacity for renewal than most people realize. In this video, I'm going to show you why so-called zombie cells, not your genetics, are one of the primary drivers of accelerated aging, and more importantly, how to help your body clear them. We'll break down the exact biological mechanisms that can begin to shift your body toward a younger state within as little as 72 hours of targeted dietary changes. I'll also walk you through 5 specific foods with clinically relevant amounts that are known to activate your body's cellular recycling system. You'll learn the one daily timing strategy that can significantly amplify the anti-aging effects of everything else you're doing, along with 3 practical insights from clinical experience, details most people never hear, including one surprising truth about a common healthy breakfast that may actually be accelerating aging. Finally, we'll address the 4 most common mistakes people make when trying to reverse aging and the simple corrections that make all the difference. Now let me ask you to picture something. Imagine your body as a highly organized, fast-moving city. Every day, millions of workers, your cells, are performing essential tasks, repairing tissues, producing energy, defending against infections. In a healthy system, when a worker becomes too old or too damaged to function properly, there's a built-in replacement process. That cell is removed, and a new, fully functional one takes its place, allowing the system to operate efficiently. But what happens when that replacement system begins to fail? Instead of being cleared, these damaged cells remain. Not only do they stop contributing, but they begin releasing harmful biochemical signals that negatively affect the surrounding environment. Nearby healthy cells become impaired, inflammation rises, and overall function declines. Over time, the entire city begins to slow down, showing signs of aging far earlier than expected. This is exactly what occurs inside the body through a process known as cellular senescence. As we age, or when we're exposed to chronic stress, poor nutrition, lack of sleep, or environmental toxins, certain cells reach a point where they can no longer divide or function effectively. Under normal conditions, the immune system identifies and removes these cells. However, when the body is overwhelmed or metabolically compromised, these senescent cells begin to accumulate. Researchers often refer to them as zombie cells because they are not truly alive in a functional sense, yet they are not cleared away. More concerning is what they produce: a group of inflammatory signaling molecules known as the senescence-associated secretory phenotype, or SASP. This inflammatory cascade doesn't stay localized. It spreads, damaging nearby healthy cells, breaking down collagen, disrupting hormonal communication, and contributing to vascular stiffness. From a clinical perspective, this process is deeply significant. The accumulation of these inflammatory signals has been strongly associated with many of the chronic conditions we see in practice today, including neurodegenerative disorders, cardiovascular disease, metabolic dysfunction such as type 2 diabetes, joint degeneration, and even the progression of certain cancers. Understanding this mechanism changes how we approach aging entirely. It shifts the focus from simply managing symptoms to actively supporting the body's ability to repair, renew, and restore balance at the cellular level. Now, here's where this becomes truly compelling. In 2023, scientists at the Buck Institute for Research on Aging published findings demonstrating that certain plant-derived compounds can selectively trigger the removal of senescent or zombie cells without damaging healthy tissue. These compounds function like a highly specialized cleanup crew, restoring order by eliminating dysfunctional cells that contribute to aging. This process is known as senolysis. While pharmaceutical senolytics are still undergoing clinical trials, nature has already provided dietary equivalents that have been available all along. Most people simply haven't been shown how to use them effectively. What you're about to learn is that roadmap. There are 4 primary biological pathways through which targeted nutrition can influence cellular aging in a meaningful way. Let's walk through each one from a clinical perspective. The first pathway is autophagy activation, your body's internal cellular recycling system. Autophagy literally means self-eating, but in reality, it is a highly regulated process that breaks down damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, and accumulated cellular debris into reusable components. When autophagy is functioning efficiently, cells remain clean, resilient, and metabolically active. However, frequent eating, especially diets high in processed high glycemic foods, keeps insulin levels elevated and suppresses this process. Each insulin spike effectively pauses autophagy, allowing waste to accumulate and accelerating cellular aging. Certain compounds, such as spermidine found in wheat germ and fermented foods, along with EGCG from green tea, have been shown to stimulate autophagy even outside of fasting states. This is one reason they consistently appear in longevity research. The second pathway involves restoring NAD+ levels, which is essential for cellular energy and repair. NAD+, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, is a critical molecule that fuels mitochondrial function and activates enzymes known as sirtuins, key regulators of cellular repair and longevity. Between the ages of 40 and 60, NAD+ levels can decline by up to 50%. As a result, energy production drops, DNA repair becomes less efficient, and aging accelerates. Think of NAD+ as the fuel that powers your body's internal repair systems. Without it, those systems simply cannot function at full capacity. Foods rich in precursors to NAD+, including broccoli, edamame, and cucumber, have been shown to support these pathways and improve cellular resilience. The third pathway focuses on telomere stabilization, protecting your biological clock. Telomeres are protective caps at the ends of chromosomes that shorten with each cell division. When they become critically short, cells either stop functioning or enter a senescent state. Shortened telomeres are strongly associated with accelerated aging and increased disease risk. However, an enzyme called telomerase can help maintain, and in some cases, partially restore telomere length. Nutrients such as omega-3 fatty acids and polyphenols like fisetin and quercetin have demonstrated the ability in clinical studies to slow the rate of telomere shortening, supporting healthier cellular aging. The fourth pathway is the control of chronic inflammation, often referred to as inflammaging. Unlike acute inflammation, which is a short-term protective response, chronic low-grade inflammation acts as a persistent internal stressor. Over time, it damages tissues, disrupts hormonal signaling, and contributes to nearly every major age-related condition. This ongoing inflammatory state is largely driven by pathways such as NF-kappa B. Certain dietary compounds, including curcumin, sulforaphane, and resveratrol, have been shown to modulate this pathway. Rather than suppressing the immune system, they help recalibrate it, reducing unnecessary inflammation while preserving essential immune function. When these four pathways are supported simultaneously, the body shifts from a state of gradual decline into one of active repair and renewal. This is the foundation of modern, evidence-based approaches to slowing, and in some cases partially reversing biological aging. Let's look at the clinical science behind this protocol, because the evidence is far more robust than most people realize. At Harvard Medical School, in collaboration with Brigham and Women's Hospital, a landmark study followed more than 2,500 adults and examined the relationship between dietary polyphenol intake and telomere length, measured using quantitative PCR. The findings were striking. Individuals in the highest quartile of polyphenol consumption had telomere profiles functionally comparable to people nearly 5 years younger. Among the compounds analyzed, flavonoids, particularly quercetin and camphorol, showed the strongest correlation with preserved cellular aging markers. In Sweden, researchers at the Karolinska Institute conducted a controlled study involving 100 healthy adults over the age of 60. Participants received 1 milligram of spermidine daily for 12 months. The results demonstrated significant improvements in autophagy activity based on blood biomarkers. Even more compelling, participants showed measurable gains in episodic memory and arterial flexibility. From a vascular standpoint, the degree of improvement was comparable to reversing approximately 6 years of arterial aging. At the University of California, San Francisco, a dietary intervention study involving 91 adults over 65 examined the effects of EGCG intake. Participants who consumed at least 250 milligrams daily, equivalent to 2 to 3 cups of high-quality green tea, experienced a 23% reduction in senescent cell burden in adipose tissue within 8 weeks. This was confirmed using well-established biomarkers such as P16 and P21, both considered reliable indicators of cellular senescence. Further evidence comes from research associated with the National Institutes of Health, including a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial conducted at Washington University in St. Louis. In this study, 25 postmenopausal women were given 250 milligrams of NMN daily for 10 weeks. The results showed a significant increase in NAD+ biosynthesis within skeletal muscle tissue, along with improvements in insulin sensitivity and muscle performance. The authors noted that these changes were consistent with partial reversal of specific aging-related biological patterns. Finally, at McMaster University, researchers evaluated over 1,200 older adults following a Mediterranean-style dietary pattern. Over a 3-year period, those who adhered closely to this approach demonstrated a 34% slower rate of biological aging, as measured by epigenetic clock analysis, specifically the Horvath clock. What's important here is that the benefit was not driven by isolated supplements, but by the overall dietary pattern, a consistent intake of nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory foods working synergistically. Taken together, these findings reinforce a critical point. Aging is not just a passive timeline. It is a biologically measurable process that can be influenced, sometimes significantly, by targeted nutritional and lifestyle interventions grounded in real clinical evidence. Here is the exact protocol I recommend to my patients and follow consistently in my own clinical routine. Commit to this for 7 days and observe carefully how your body responds, especially your energy levels, sleep quality, and subtle morning signals such as joint stiffness or inflammation. Protocol 1 is green tea, 2 to 3 cups daily, ideally consumed before noon. Use high-quality loose-leaf matcha or Japanese sencha, not bottled varieties, which contain significantly lower levels of EGCG. Brew at approximately 175 degrees Fahrenheit rather than boiling, as excessive heat degrades the active compounds. Each cup provides roughly 100 to 150 milligrams of EGCG, placing you within a clinically relevant range. Avoid adding sugar. A small amount of lemon juice can significantly enhance EGCG absorption. Protocol 2 is broccoli sprouts, 60 to 80 grams daily, or about half a cup. These sprouts contain dramatically higher concentrations of sulforaphane compared to mature broccoli. Sulforaphane activates the NRF2 pathway, one of the body's primary antioxidant defense systems, and has been shown to reduce inflammatory signaling from senescent cells. Consume them raw or lightly steamed. Excess heat destroys the enzyme required for sulforaphane formation. Adding a small amount of mustard seed powder can further enhance its bioavailability. Protocol 3 is blueberries. 1 cup, approximately 150 grams daily. Wild or frozen blueberries are excellent choices and often contain higher levels of anthocyanins. These compounds, along with resveratrol-like polyphenols, support sirtuin pathways involved in DNA repair and mitochondrial function. For optimal absorption, consume them in the morning alongside a source of healthy fat such as walnuts or avocado. Protocol 4 is edamame or soybeans. 1/2 cup daily. Edamame is a rich source of precursors that support NAD+ production, a critical molecule for cellular energy and repair. It also provides complete plant-based protein and spermidine, which supports autophagy. Light steaming preserves its nutritional value, making it an ideal addition to lunch. Protocol 5 is extra virgin olive oil, 2 tablespoons daily, preferably consumed with vegetables. High-quality olive oil contains oleocanthal, a natural compound with anti-inflammatory properties similar in mechanism to certain medications, but without the long-term adverse effects. It also helps regulate inflammatory pathways linked to cellular aging. Use it raw or at low temperatures to preserve its integrity. Protocol 6 is dark chocolate, about 30 grams daily with a minimum of 85% cacao. At this concentration, dark chocolate provides epicatechin, a flavonoid shown to support mitochondrial function, improve blood flow, and reduce markers of vascular aging. This is a precise therapeutic amount, not an open invitation for excess. Choose options with minimal added sugar. Protocol 7 is walnuts, a small handful, approximately 30 grams daily. Walnuts are uniquely rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that supports anti-inflammatory processes and may help preserve telomere integrity. Regular consumption has been associated with measurable benefits in aging-related biomarkers. Protocol 8 is a 12 to 14-hour overnight fast. This is the multiplier that enhances everything else in this protocol. It simply involves finishing your last meal around 7 in the evening and delaying your first meal until the following morning. This fasting window allows insulin levels to drop and activates autophagy, the body's internal repair system. When this process is engaged, every nutrient you consume works more efficiently within a system that is actively clearing and renewing itself. When implemented together, these strategies create a powerful, synergistic effect, supporting cellular repair, reducing inflammation, and optimizing the biological systems that determine how you age at the deepest level. After more than a decade in preventive medicine, these are the clinical pearls I emphasize with every patient starting a longevity-focused protocol. They may seem simple, but in practice, these details often determine whether the protocol delivers real biological change or minimal results. Tip 1. Always pair blueberries with walnuts. The healthy fats in walnuts significantly enhance the absorption of anthocyanins from blueberries by as much as 3 to 4 times in controlled settings. This is not a subtle effect. It's the difference between achieving a meaningful therapeutic impact and simply consuming these foods at a surface level. In addition, this combination helps stabilize blood glucose, reducing insulin spikes that would otherwise suppress autophagy and cellular repair. Tip 2. Follow the green tea timing rule. Consuming green tea too late in the day, particularly after 2 p.m., can interfere with slow-wave sleep in many individuals, even those who believe they tolerate caffeine well. This stage of sleep is when the brain's glymphatic system is most active, clearing metabolic waste and supporting neurological recovery. If this phase is disrupted, it can counteract much of the benefit you're trying to achieve through diet. For that reason, finish green tea earlier in the day. If you prefer a warm beverage later, consider rooibos or decaffeinated options, which still provide beneficial polyphenols without affecting sleep architecture. Tip 3. Do not measure your progress by weight alone. One of the earliest and most consistent improvements I see clinically is a reduction in systemic inflammation, not immediate fat loss. Patients often report less joint stiffness in the morning, improved skin clarity, deeper sleep, and more stable mood. These are meaningful biological signals indicating that the internal environment is shifting in a positive direction. If the number on the scale doesn't change in the first week, that does not mean the protocol isn't working. Tip 4. The mustard seed strategy is essential, not optional. Adding a small amount, about 1/4 teaspoon, of ground mustard seed to broccoli sprouts can nearly double the production of sulforaphane. This is because the enzyme required for its formation is easily destroyed by heat, and mustard seed provides an external source to restore that pathway. For individuals who prefer their sprouts lightly cooked, adding mustard powder afterward helps preserve much of the intended benefit. This small adjustment can significantly amplify the cellular impact of this food. Tip 5. Prioritize consistency over intensity. 7 days of steady yet moderate adherence will produce far better results than a few perfect days followed by inconsistency. The biological systems involved, autophagy, NAD+ production, and telomere maintenance, respond best to regular, repeated signals rather than occasional extremes. Think of this approach not as a short-term intervention, but as ongoing cellular maintenance. You are not reacting to damage. You are actively creating conditions that prevent it from accumulating in the first place. Mistake 1 is choosing the wrong form of green tea. Many bottled green tea beverages are heat pasteurized, which significantly reduces their EGCG content, sometimes to less than 10% of what you would get from freshly brewed loose-leaf tea. In addition, these products often contain added sugars that spike insulin and directly counteract autophagy, the very process you're trying to activate. The correction is straightforward. Prepare your own tea using high-quality loose-leaf sencha or ceremonial-grade matcha. If you're traveling, premium tea bags can be a reasonable alternative. Brew for 3 to 4 minutes at a temperature below boiling to preserve the active compounds. Mistake 2 is exposing broccoli sprouts to excessive heat. This is one of the most common and most damaging errors. Many people cook sprouts to make them more palatable, but temperatures above 140 degrees Fahrenheit destroy myrosinase, the enzyme required to convert glucoraphanin into its active form, sulforaphane. Without this conversion, the therapeutic value is essentially lost. The solution is to consume sprouts raw whenever possible. Add them to salads, sandwiches, or prepared dishes after cooking. If you prefer them warm, lightly steam them and then add mustard powder to restore the enzymatic activity needed for sulforaphane production. Mistake 3 is expecting immediate results and discontinuing too early. While some biological processes, such as autophagy activation and reductions in inflammatory signaling, can begin within 48 to 72 hours, meaningful tissue-level changes typically emerge closer to day 5 through 7. Many individuals stop after the second or third day because they don't perceive a dramatic shift. In reality, they are stopping just before the effects begin to compound. The solution is to commit fully to at least 7 days. Track subtle but meaningful indicators such as morning joint stiffness, mid-afternoon energy levels, and sleep quality. These are early clinical signals of internal improvement. Mistake 4 is relying too heavily on supplements instead of whole foods. Much of the research supporting this protocol is based on whole food interventions, not isolated compounds. This distinction matters. Nutrients in food are delivered within a complex biological matrix that includes fiber, enzymes, and synergistic cofactors, all of which influence absorption and effectiveness. For example, resveratrol in a capsule does not behave the same way as when it is consumed within a whole food source like berries. While targeted supplementation can have a role, it should not replace the foundation. The most effective approach is to establish consistency with whole foods first. Only after maintaining this pattern for several weeks should supplementation be considered, and even then, it should be individualized based on clinical needs. Aging is not a fixed sentence. It is an ongoing biological conversation. And today, for the first time in medical history, we have the tools to understand what that conversation looks like at the cellular level. In my clinical experience, the individuals who age most successfully, those who maintain energy, clarity, and physical function well beyond what their birth certificates would suggest, are not genetically exceptional. They are not relying on secret treatments or extreme interventions. What sets them apart is something far more practical, a consistent, informed relationship with their own biology. The pathways we've discussed, autophagy, NAD+ restoration, senescent cell clearance, and telomere protection, are not passive processes. They do not simply happen with time. They are directly influenced by daily behaviors: how you eat, how you sleep, how you manage stress, and how consistently you support your body's repair systems. Every day, these pathways are either being reinforced or suppressed. What's important to understand is that these systems are already active within you. Your body is constantly attempting to repair damage, recycle cellular waste, regulate inflammation, and preserve function. The difference lies in whether your lifestyle supports or interferes with these processes. From a medical standpoint, aging is less about inevitable decline and more about accumulated imbalance. When the body is given the right signals, nutritional, metabolic, and behavioral, it shifts toward repair, efficiency, and resilience. When those signals are absent, decline accelerates. The encouraging reality is this: you don't need to wait months or years to begin influencing these systems. Meaningful changes at the cellular level can begin within days of consistent action. The choices you make today, starting with your next meal, your sleep tonight, your timing tomorrow, can begin to shift that internal conversation in a measurable way. You are not separate from the biology that determines how you age. You are actively participating in it, moment by moment. Let's bring everything together in a clear, clinically grounded way. Aging, at its core, is driven by cellular senescence, the gradual accumulation of dysfunctional zombie cells that release inflammatory signals and damage surrounding healthy tissue. But this process is not inevitable. It is modifiable, and one of the most powerful tools you have to influence it is your daily nutrition. From a biological standpoint, 4 key pathways determine how quickly you age at the cellular level: autophagy efficiency, NAD+ availability, telomere stability, and chronic low-grade inflammation, often referred to as inflammaging. Each of these systems responds directly to what and how you eat. Here is the structured 7-day protocol. First, green tea, 2 to 3 cups before noon, delivering approximately 150 to 300 milligrams of EGCG per day. This supports cellular cleanup and antioxidant defense. Second, broccoli sprouts, about half a cup daily or 60 to 80 grams, consumed raw. Adding a small amount of mustard seed powder significantly enhances sulforaphane production, amplifying its anti-inflammatory and detoxification effects. Third, blueberries, 1 cup daily, roughly 150 grams, ideally wild or frozen. Pair them with walnuts to enhance polyphenol absorption and improve metabolic stability. Fourth, edamame, half a cup, about 85 grams, preferably at lunch. This provides precursors for NAD+ production, along with spermidine, supporting both energy metabolism and autophagy. Fifth, extra virgin olive oil, 2 tablespoons daily, used cold or at low heat. This helps regulate inflammatory pathways and supports cardiovascular health. Sixth, dark chocolate, approximately 30 grams per day, with at least 85% cacao. This provides flavonoids that support vascular function and mitochondrial health. Seventh, walnuts, about 30 grams daily. When combined with blueberries, they create a synergistic effect that enhances nutrient absorption and supports cellular repair. In addition, incorporate a 12 to 14-hour overnight fasting window. This is one of the most effective ways to activate autophagy, allowing your body to repair and recycle damaged cellular components. Timing matters. Consume green tea earlier in the day, combine blueberries with walnuts, and allow your overnight fast to remain uninterrupted. The scientific evidence supporting this approach is strong. Research from institutions such as Harvard Medical School, Karolinska Institute, National Institutes of Health, University of California, San Francisco, and McMaster University consistently demonstrates measurable anti-aging effects from these dietary patterns in human studies, often within a matter of weeks. Your health is not predetermined by your genetics or your chronological age. Biological age is dynamic. It reflects the ongoing interaction between your body and your environment, and you are actively shaping that environment every day. Every meal you eat sends a signal to your cells, either reinforcing damage or supporting repair. Starting today, you have the ability to change that message in a meaningful, measurable way. If you found this video valuable, if it gave you a clear framework and a practical place to begin, I encourage you to subscribe to the 365 Health Guide channel and leave a like. That simple action helps ensure this evidence-based information reaches more people who are not just looking for health advice, but for guidance they can actually apply in real life. In my clinical experience, the biggest gap in modern health education is not a lack of information. It's a lack of clear, actionable direction. That's exactly what this channel is designed to provide. Science translated into decisions you can make every day. In the next video, I'll be addressing a question I'm asked almost every week in practice: the single sleep habit that current research suggests may have a greater impact on your biological age than nearly any dietary choice. It's subtle, often overlooked, and far more influential than most people realize. You won't want to miss it. I'll see you in the next video.